the session to be run exactly from the very beginning up to the end in English, this is much better for me. If you would like to have some English and some Arabic, it's okay. Before I start, I would like just to listen to your response, if it would be okay for you all to be run in English or some English and some Arabic. No response, guys, means that I will continue in English from the very beginning up to the end. Okay? Oxford examination is one of the very accessible exams for students. It helps students exactly to get high grades and achieve what they dream of. And the idea of the nightmare of English or bad marks is not there at all. I mean, with little effort, you can get good grade. But if you do all your effort and you dream to achieve the best score, you can not only achieve the best score, but you can also achieve or to be one of the achievers. I mean, you can get the full mark if you're going to follow the criteria very well. Our exam is divided into 4 partitions. The first one and the most important one is the speaking one. The speaking partition will be in a separate day. I mean, the exam itself will be in a separate day. Students spend about exactly for the whole time of the exams, 15 minutes. As there will be time for you to prepare. I mean, you will stay in the waiting area. You will be given a photo card, and then you will stay in this waiting area for about 10 minutes, prepare the questions and the photo card. Then you get inside. When you are with the examiner, you start talking about and describing all what you see and the photo card. Okay? This will take about 5 minutes for description. Maximum 5 minutes. But there should be minimum time, which is 3 minutes. So the first one in the speaking, I mean the first process stays for 3, you can say from 3 to 4 minutes. And then there will be a second partition of the exam. Second partition of the exam will be general conversation. The general conversation will be about some topics. Okay? The given topics are exactly known and well prepared together before along the year. So it's easy to answer any of these questions, as the questions are repeated, well prepared with your teacher, okay? And at the same time, you can take notes along the year about the mistakes you do while speaking, whether these mistakes were in the pronunciation or in the grammar form, okay? So you can pronounce very well. Your teacher exactly says that your pronunciation was good or bad. Your outdoor performance was okay, was exactly not that good, needs to be done from, I mean, the effort should be much better than this, and so on. The second time, I mean, the second part, the general conversation, stays, or the duration of this partition will stay for about from 6 to 7 minutes. So minimum time of the speaking test will be 9 minutes, and maximum time for the speaking test will be about 11 or 12 minutes. Okay? The speaking test is very important. Why? Because it weighs about 20% from the exam. It's out of 40 marks. The first partition, which is the photo card, weighs 15 marks, and the general conversation 25 marks. So total 40 marks. Okay? You should be trained very well from the very beginning up to the end of the year to express yourself very well. Clarity is the main issue. When you speak clearly, you can get higher grades than anyone else. When you speak and express yourself using a perfect vocabulary, sophisticated ones, of course, you deserve better grades. When you use idioms, when you use higher structure, what do I mean by higher structure? I use high grammar, like using passive voice, not only, but also if conditional, and any of these issues while you speak shows the examiner that you are not only one of the ordinary people who speak, but you can show a better language when you speak, which means that you are one of the students who can trust themselves very well and express themselves in a very strong English. Okay? All of these issues are evaluated and given marks. So clarity is the main issue. Vocabulary, higher structure, pronunciation, when you pronounce well. Some people say that the accent is very important. No, the accent is not that important. Your accent may be Indian, your accent may be whatever. The accent is not exactly that main issue. So whether your accent is American or your accent is British, it doesn't matter at all. Okay? The themes we usually speak about, I mean, in the theme 1, for example, which is the photo card, we speak about our identity and our culture. Like when you get a photo card speaks about what? About some people playing football. You keep describing the photo. And of course, you keep describing their emotions and facial expressions, what they do, and the place, and so on. Okay? For the other issues, I mean, the second part of the exam, which is theme 2 and theme 3 together, I mean, the general conversation, you speak about local, national, and international and global areas of interest. For example, they can ask you about exactly what do you know about global warming? Okay, you know the problems of homeless people, and so on. Questions like, occurs nationally, internationally, and so on. But we do not involve anything related to politics or religion. Theme 3, I mean, some other questions, the second part of the general conversation, could also speak about the current and future development and employment studies and so on. For example, ask you, what do you plan to study next year? Okay, or what is the best country you would like to work or to visit, and why? If you are given a vacation, what's the best place would you like to visit? Okay, you speak about the advantages and disadvantages of joining university and so on. Okay, so the general conversation is not exactly at all limited or directed to any partition of politics or any partition of religion. Speaks about general issues, as I told you. We're gonna repeat it one more time. Speak about local, national, international, global areas of interest, and also you will find some questions speak about the current and future study. Speaking needs practice. When you practice a lot, you get the best of you. You improve yourself from time to time. Your teacher is always there, so he may record all what you say during the session, takes down or jots down the mistakes you do, and then give you the feedback. When he gives you the feedback, you work on yourself to improve all these mistakes. When the mistakes are already done, you got rid of them all, you upgrade yourself, and you could be one of the best students. And of course, from time to time, you can speak fluently. You find yourself with no mistakes or even little mistakes, which means you can get at least 38 out of 40 because the exam is out of 40 marks. Okay? When you have mistakes, you should ask your teacher, how can I improve myself? Sometimes students get hesitated, or they do not trust themselves, or they might be they are a little bit shy when you speak to someone stranger. But remember, there will be someone stranger there in the room you will have exam with. I mean, your class teacher will give you the exam, maybe, or the English teacher at school will give you the exam. He will be your examiner, okay? But there should be two other people with you in the room. Who are these people? Those who are watching the exam. I mean, the proctors, okay? Will be a lady or a man or two. Someone takes you from out to in and stays with you for a whole duration. He's responsible, or she's responsible about the records, makes sure that your records or what you say is recorded very well and clear on the set, I mean the small device, before you leave the room. So do not put the idea of feeling shy or being shy in your mind, and make sure, and believe me, along the year when we train together, nothing will be there at all. It will be easy for you. Okay? This for the speaking partition or the speaking exam. Speaking exam will be usually before the rest of the exam. I mean, it will be number one. Then they will give you about 2 weeks. Then the normal schedule will continue. Okay? We have a separate paper for writing, a separate paper for reading, and a separate paper for listening. Okay? You may be given reading and writing together in one day and listening in a different day. So all in all, you will have 4 days for the test. 1 day for the speaking, 1 day for reading and writing, and 1 day for listening. For the speaking also, you will be given a specific time. For example, if the exam starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, you will have a schedule ready before it, saying, for example, Omar will start his exam at 9:15. It means that before 9:15, Omar should be there at school 15 minutes or 20 minutes earlier than this. Why? Because Omar should go to the waiting area, stays there until the teacher comes and tells Omar that this is your photo card. Go for the preparation room and wait there for about 10 minutes to prepare the photo card. When you prepare the photo card, you may take notes, write down some notes on a separate piece of paper. Okay? And of course, you can take these notes with you when you get inside the exam room. Okay? Once the teacher asks you some information, some questions, and take care that the questions will be there. I mean, the photo card, and under the photo card, there will be 3 questions. These 3 questions will be given directly about the topic itself or the photo itself. Okay? In this case, you are asked to answer all these questions one by one. I mean, the teacher will ask you the first question, and then after you give him all your answer, he will go on the second question and third question. As we mentioned, 3 minutes minimum for the photo card. Is it okay? 3 minutes minimum. How about the rest of the exam? or the first question or the second question, we advise students exactly to take about a minute, okay, or more than 1 minute in the first question. I mean, their answer should stay or should go beyond a minute in the first question. Why? Because you have a description, you have a photo in front of your eyes, because the question will be exactly, what can you see in this photo? This is the first question. So what can you see in the photo? You can see many things. These many things there in the photo can be exactly given and can take more than 1 minute to do what, guys? To be described. Okay? We can show you exactly one of the meaning of the photos. We'll make a share screen and show you exactly how the photo will be. This is one of the questions. Okay, as you see, what can you see in the photo? This is the first question. Okay, so you stay about 10 minutes, prepare your answer before you get into the exam room. In the waiting area and preparation room, you take this paper, you have different piece of paper, you take down all the notes you would like to speak about, and then when you get inside, the first question is given to you. What can you see in the photo? Also, the photo will be with you. So your preparation, I mean the notes you have already done, and the photo will be together. Okay? When you are done with the first question, he asks you or she asks you the second one. How often do you watch TV programs or films at home, for example? Okay? You speak about this one, and this could also long or stay for 1 minute. And then the third question, what kind of TV programs or films, whatever would you like, okay, to watch, and with whom, and so on? It's okay. But what happens if my time in the photo card does not exactly exceed 2 minutes? In this case, the teacher or the examiner will try to support me by giving extra 2 questions relating to the topic. I mean, relating to the photo. Okay, why? Because as I mentioned before, the least minutes I should use for the photo card, 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes will affect my grades negatively. Okay, now I'm done with the 3 minutes. It's okay. He will give you a hint by saying, it's okay, are you ready to go on the second part of the exam, which is the general conversation? And then he will ask you the other questions I have already mentioned before, which speak about national, international, local issues in our life, the current and the future employment, and so on. Okay, how many questions does each one of you will be asked? It differs from exactly, to be sure, it differs from a student to another. How? Because sometimes your answer for a question would stay for longer than 1 minute. Someone else, his answer would be less than a minute. If you speak exactly and you give details in the questions, which means you stay for a minute or more than this, okay? And this the sound is exactly, for those who ask me to raise or speak up or raise the sound, it's the maximum. Nothing can be done more than this. Okay? So guys, one more time. If you take 1 minute when you speak about each of the questions, it means that in the first partition, which is the photo card, you will take 3 minutes. Okay? The second partition, you will have about 6 or 7 questions maximum. Okay, if you take a minute If people take less than this, of course, they will have extra questions. The questions will be 8 questions, 9 questions. So the one who controls the minutes or who controls the number of the questions is exactly the student himself. Why? Because as long as you speak, as long as you take questions. But this does not mean that you can take longer minutes up to 15 or 16 minutes in the exam. No. As we mentioned, 9 minutes for minimum time of the exam, and the maximum minutes will be 11. Okay? This is for the speaking test. Before we go on the writing criteria, would you like to ask any of the questions about the speaking issue? Okay. Now let's move to the writing component. Writing component is out of 4 questions. Okay, guys? The first question, they will give you also a photo card, and you're supposed to describe this photo card. The description will be done in 30 up to 50 words. Only, yes, description 30 up to 50 words. The duration of the exam is exactly 1 hour and 15 minutes. So what happens if I exceeded, if I wrote more than 50 words? Is it okay for me? No problem. Acceptable. Once you give good description for the photo, it's acceptable. Writing components, I mean the letters or the articles, okay? Or you will be there will be a photo, and the photo should be described. You should describe this photo in 30 up to 50 words. Is it okay? I'm talking about Oxford, guys. As I represented at the very beginning of the lecture, today's presentation and orientation will be mainly about Oxford. And we highlighted that our exam is divided into 4 partitions. Number 1, reading. Okay, number 2, writing, listening, and speaking. And we started by using what, guys? Speaking. We are done with the speaking, and then we moved from speaking to the writing. Is it clear, Muhammad? Okay. We have 4 questions for the writing component. Question number 1 will be a photo card. You can write down your answer in 30 minutes. Sorry, in 30 words. Okay. And of course, the maximum number will be 50 words. If I exactly exceeded all what I write, in my words for the question were about exactly 60 words. There will be a problem? No, there will never be a problem. Okay, acceptable. Okay, the photo card will be about what? I'm gonna share the screen right now to show you a sample of the photo card or a sample of the exam. Okay, and a second, please. As you can see, this is the first question of the writing component. Okay. Describe what you see in the photo. Your description should be between 30 and 50 words. So then you have 9 marks. These 9 marks are divided into language and content. What do you mean by language and what do you mean by content? Content means your description exactly is accurate, is up to the point, belongs to the photo, or you wrote something which is not there. You can take the full mark for the content, which is 6 marks out of 9. Okay, as long as your language is okay, out of mistakes, out of spelling mistakes, out of grammar mistakes, out of you exactly supplied us with very good vocabulary, like adjectives, strong adjectives, and so on, you can take also the full mark. Sometimes students believe that it's easy to get the full mark, but they do not pay much attention that their punctuation marks, like the commas, semicolons, full stop, and so on, will exactly value a lot. So this is the first question. And you have enough space to write. As you see, enough lines to write up to 50 or 60 words. If you need to make your handwriting exactly better than this along the year, of course, you will be trained how to make your handwriting accessible to fit this part, because as you see, these lines can take more than 60, 70, or even 80 words. This is the first question. So the first question is out of 9. 6 marks for the content and 3 marks for the language. Okay, guys? Now we have the second question. As you see, the second question is a letter or an email. There is no difference at all between a letter or an email. A letter is exactly the same issue an email. Like, can the letter be formal or informal? Yes, it could be formal or informal. Okay, what do I mean by formal or informal? If it was informal, it is for my friends. Okay, for my relatives, for my parents, for my school colleagues. This is informal. Type. How about a formal? A formal would be for the school principal. A formal letter would be for someone in a higher position. Okay, could be the head of the school, be the owner of a place. I may write different kinds of formal letters. Maybe I'm writing to complain about something, or maybe I'm writing because I would like to highlight an important issue or apologize about whatever. What he needs to be there in the letter is exactly, okay, highlighted. Like what? As you see over here, your letter, write a letter to members of the club, inviting them to attend the evening, okay? You must write, number 1, where and when the words. As you see, what will happen, why they should come. These 3 things should be there in your answer. Do not ignore any of the issue while you write. As you can see also, 12 marks. The 12 marks are divided into 6 for the content and 6 for the language. Okay? You're supposed to write from 50 words minimum up to 70 words maximum. If you exceeded the 70 words, it's also acceptable. 6 marks for the content could be applied or could be gained easily if your answer was that perfect and you could apply the 3 bullet points over here very well. Okay. Sometimes it's not that easy to get the full mark in the language, but you need to pay all your attention for your grammar, for the friendly tone you speak. There will be some instructions how can we write perfect piece of letter for formal and informal ones. I mean, these instructions will be done later on, not right now. Then the third question, see, it's an article. It could be an article or a review or a blog entry, any of those. 16 marks for this question. 70 words minimum, 90 words maximum. Okay, if you exceeded the words, no problem at all. There will be some points over here to be applied, whether it was 4 or 5 points, because sometimes students believe they are only 4 points, but you can see the second one only contains what, 2. Okay, not only 1. 8 marks will be given for the content, and 8 marks will be given for the language. Okay, and instructions for each questions, of course, will be given during the sessions, and how can you get the best out of you to apply or get the full mark. Then the following question number 4. Okay, you supposed to do what, guys? Write like an article. He asks you to do what? Choose a place you have been to recently that you want to visit again, and you should make sure why, okay, these issues clear. Of course, this takes a longer number of words, 100 word minimum, and the maximum number of words, 150. Okay, look at the grades. 23 marks for this question only, yes. So it's exactly, it needs me as a student to pay all my attention to get all the best of exactly of my effort to achieve or gain the high grades. Over here, 8 marks only for the content and 15 marks for the language. You see, guys, sometimes students think that it's easy to get good grades or good marks over here in this question, but they do not pay attention that the 15 marks are evaluated for the language. I mean, your grammar should be perfect. Your spelling should be more than perfect. Punctuation, the tone when you write, whether it was, I mean, I use higher structure or not, strong vocabulary, and so on. The total mark of the writing exam is 60 marks. And the way, okay, I mean, the percentage is 30%, but there are 60 marks for the writing exam. Right now, we have already highlighted the speaking and something else, which is the writing. Speaking and what, guys? And writing. Is it okay? Speaking was about 20%. Writing about, exactly 30%. Okay, guys? Speaking 20% and writing, okay, 30%. Writing 30%. Is it okay? Now, after we are done with the writing, we're gonna have something else, the reading component. The reading component is really accessible. It's not that hard at all, and it's very well designed. I'm gonna show you a sample of the exam. As you see, this is the first question. Okay, the question, I mean, each question number 1, number 2, number 3, because they say that it's text number 1. Okay, it's divided into several partitions. And for example, this is text number 1. It's divided into half, and we have some questions. As you see, most of the questions are choose. Then this is the second part of the text, which is text number 1. Okay. After the text, you do what, guys? We still have some questions. The questions are choose. Multiple choice answers are easy to be done. So it just needs concentration. When you read, you can get the answer easily. There are no tricky questions at all for the reading for the multiple choice answers or the questions. Then we're going to have text number 2. Text 2, as you see, little bit longer. The number of words are longer than the number of words given to us in text number 1. Okay, guys. After the questions, after the text, also we still have some multiply choice answers. You see. Then you're gonna have the second part of the text of text number 2. I mean question number 2, and then some new questions. The new questions exactly will give you 2 or 3 words, as you see. These 2 or 3 words are already from the text, and then he asks you exactly what does this mean. You should make your explanation totally clear, because you have 2 marks. If your explanation is not that clear, you will have only 1 mark. Okay? And you will miss 1, and so on. Then another question, he says what? List 2 advantages. You write down only the advantage number 1 over here, advantage number 2 over here. This is easy. It's not that hard. But the idea of explaining questions or explaining words or phrases from the text needs you to pay all your attention, because you can get the full mark easily if you concentrate. Then we moved back to the multiply choice answers. Now we are done with text number 1, text number 2. Text number 3, little bit longer. Okay? Some questions, multiply choice answers, as you see after the text. Here in this question, he asks you to pick up 4 answers, as you see. So you will write down here or supply him here with 4 answers. Okay? It's easy to be applied. The next one, the next exam, or the next part of the question, longer than the first one. And then he asks you to write down some questions. Over here, list 4 reasons. The list or these issues are already totally clear in the text to be written down. The next one, he asks you some questions about the meaning of words, like this, the words written between the brackets over here. What do they mean? And he asks for 3 marks. The 3 marks will be obtained easily if your answer are up to the point. Next, some following questions saying or selecting about, give me 4 reasons, give me 4 issues. The best thing is that most of the exam is multiple choice answer. You write down explanations for some of the questions, and other questions asks you to write down only some information from the text. As you see, it's easier than any of the other exams. Then we have text number 4. As you see, the first part of the text, some questions, multiple choice answers. Okay. Second part of the text, multiple choice answers. Over here, you're supposed to provide us with 4 issues which are wrong or right as are mentioned in the text. Then there are some questions that need you to write exactly the correct meaning, as you can see. These lines are for you to use them all to give your idea clear. When you make them totally clear, you can get the full mark of each one. Okay? Then the last partition of the exam, also with some examples to write about. I mean, the questions with some exam 3 issues. Some questions also ask you for the meaning. So you believe that there are plenty of the questions, but I heard that such exams, okay, when you are trained very well, will not exactly take longer than 50 minutes to be done, because the texts are short, accessible, easier to read, information are laid down in a very perfect way. So no, you can say hard work required, but just practice to get the best of you, because you can get the full mark easier at the end of the year if you are trained very well. The reading component is out of 60 marks. 60 marks, and the way of the reading component is 30%. So right now, from the very beginning, listening was 20%. Sorry, speaking was 20%. Okay, guys? Writing was 30%, and reading was 30%. Up till now, we have 80%. The missing paper or the last paper will be for the listening. Okay? And the listening is easier than any other exam. Some questions for the listening, okay, and 40 marks for the exam. Listening is easier than what you expect, because he does not speak that fast at all in the track. He does not use that hard or harsh vocabulary or the hidden idioms, which make you unable to understand the correct or the right meaning of the sentence, or exactly the hint of the question or the target of what he asks for. No, it's easy for you. Those who concentrate and pay all their attention and they do not take the topic haphazardly can get the best grades, because the star, okay, I mean star 9, okay, starts from 174 or 175. Okay, just listen. I'm going to give you a very good example. If you exactly get 35 in the listening component, okay, guys, you just get 35 for the listening component. And it's 35 out of 40 for the listening, okay? 35 for speaking out of 40. Okay, guys? You got 52 or 53 for the writing. And then you got 53 for the reading. Total grades over here would be what, guys? 175. So you got the star easy. You got the star easily, okay? And this is not only a star 8 or star, no, it's a star 9. If I concentrate more, and I can exactly do my out of 40, 38 or 40 for the speaking, okay, 60 for the reading, and I got 55 for the writing, for example, and I can improve myself along the year to get the full mark. In this case, I can be one of what, guys, the achievers. If I got 190 or 190 something, I can be one of the achievers. Can I be one of the top worded? Yes, you can be one of the, if you want. What does it mean if you want? If you want means if you pay all your attention, if you hard, if you practice, and you can pay attention for the mistakes done before, never to be done again, to be totally avoided and fade away. I mean, the examiner will never find a mistake paper. Of course, you can be one. Okay, guys? Now I'm done for the presentation. Oxford. Any questions? Any question for the presentation about Oxford, guys? Okay. Number one, okay, to improve your English is to show me exactly where you are. I mean, I need to know your level. Okay. You can improve your English by reading. This is number one. Some people do not do anything during what, guys? During the vacation, because it's a vacation and I do not need to study. Now, improving your English does not mean that you have to study. Improving your English can be done by listening of different things. Like what? You can, of course, listen to music, okay, understand the vocabulary very well. Make sure to use these vocabulary, okay? Speak with your brothers, sisters, colleagues, anyone in English. So you can do what, guys? Improve your English. This is one step. The second step is to make a daily reading routine for your English. Like what? I don't know your level in English. Maybe exactly you are in year 11 or year 12 or year 10, and your level in English could be for those who are in year 4 or 5. In this case, I can buy some stories, okay, for the age of 4 or age of 5 or age of 6, whatever, and I can do a daily routine of reading, okay? It's just practice, but take it seriously, because after a month, you can be someone else. It looks like exactly when you buy a new mobile and the new mobile has some games or whatever, and you'd like to exceed all the levels of the games. So you start trying the games, okay? Once you like it, you keep going on and you keep being eager to improve yourself or to move from a level to another and so on. The same idea. If you have the power, the intention, if you really that one of that person exactly, or those people who are in dying, you can do it. But I can give you just a hint to improve yourself. Okay, go on. So we can read. This is number one. You can do some listening practice, like listening to the songs you prefer, watching good movies, okay, and take the vocabulary of devices. I mean, smart devices. We can use online dictionaries, and of course, type the words. The words will be exactly pronounced very well, and of course, you know how to pronounce and use them. You can also take these words and put them down in sentences so you can improve your English. Again, improving my English through reading, through listening, and talking to my colleagues in English or to my family in English. Okay, guys, this is exactly the way they can improve your English. Someone asks, they use mic. Of course, the mic, I mean, be different. Like what? It could be like a small device exactly in front of you, because when you speak to your examiner, the examiner does not give you any any grades on the spot. Your voice will be recorded. Your answer will be recorded. Traveled through the British Council to UK. Your track will be lessened over there, and of course, you will be evaluated by the board. Do not exactly take into consideration that your teacher at school will give you the final mark at the end. No, teachers at schools will never give you any of the final mark for the speaking. They will just run the conversation, and the conversation will be evaluated by Oxford experts. Okay, guys? So the mic is just like any other mic or a small set that is exactly used to record your answer. Okay, guys? Some people ask me about the difference between Cambridge and Oxford. Okay, Cambridge and Oxford, both of them exactly focus on the 4 H's: speaking, writing, listening, and reading. Here in Egypt, for the Cambridge, we do not get an oral exam. I mean, there is no speaking exam for Cambridge. Some other countries, like Gulf and so on, there will be listening, a speaking exam for Cambridge. Speaking exam will be the same thing. Some topics, okay, at the end of the year will be given to you. And of course, one of these topics will be there in the exam. And of course, there will be some minutes also. So along the year, also you are trained about the topics, and the speaking is easier than any of the other exams. This is for the Cambridge. The writing component for the Cambridge is exactly, you can say, a perfect system, because he teaches you how to write each and every single thing in a perfect way. Cambridge is one of the boards who pay a lot and focus a lot for students when they write. For example, if you are writing a friendly letter, you're supposed to use easier vocabulary and easier structure than when you write a formal structure, I mean for the formal letter. Sometimes you can use words in the formal which cannot be exactly used in the informal. This is the difference between this and that. Okay, along the year, you are given these issues and you are told exactly what to use in the formal and not to use in the informal. And then you start practicing. When you practice a lot, of course, you can highlight the difference between this and that. And you can find yourself writing these things easier than what you imagine. But of course, Cambridge needs fully concentration. Okay? For the reading process, there will be some questions for you. Passage number 1 and some questions. Passage number 2, which is multiple choice answer, I mean matching. Then number 3, an exercise also, and write down an answer. It's called form filling. Sorry, it's called note taking. What do you mean by note taking? Note taking, you do not write the full answer. You just write down, if he says where is whatever, you write down the place. Okay. Then bridge process is a little bit different, because the reading and writing will be together in the same paper. Question number 1, question number 2, question number 3 will be for the reading. Question number 4 will be for the summary. So you read, and at the same time you do what, guys? You write, you summarize the points. Okay. Question number 5 will be a letter or an email. Question number 6 will be an article. So the reading and writing will be together in 2 hours in one paper. Okay. For the listening process, Cambridge listening is really, you can say, a way harder than any other exam, because in the Cambridge they speak faster. Okay, they need more training from you. You're supposed to train day and night, and take in your consideration that spelling is the main key also for the listening problem. Do not think that it's a listening, so if I did a mistake in the spelling when I'm right, it will be okay for me. No. If you just forgot an E at the end of the word, like the word like, if you forgot the letter E at the end, it means that your answer is totally what, guys? Wrong. Really? Yes. And if this word repeated in the same question and you did it, also one more mark missing. So you do what, guys? You should pay all your attention and your concentration to gain the grades. Cambridge needs a lot of practice than Oxford. But exactly, it is we cannot deny that Cambridge is the core of the language. Yani, once you understand Cambridge a lot, you can build a perfect, you can say, English, because your level goes up. Those who have a problem with Cambridge and they formally or normally get B in Cambridge can get a star in Oxford, because Oxford is not that hard like Cambridge. People here in Egypt, or exactly in most of the schools we teach in, we give the students English Cambridge and English Oxford. English Cambridge to improve their language because we keep providing them with all the instructions required for the writing, and English Oxford in case that the students do not get high grades in Cambridge, so they can get higher ones in Oxford. For those who ask me about how to improve themselves in the spelling, spelling could be done by exactly number one, paying all your attention for the way the word is pronounced. So when you pronounce well, you can write well. This is number one. Number two, there should be a paper and a pen used by you for studying the vocabulary, because some words are silent, some letters, some words have some silent letters. So you're supposed to study them and train yourself by heart. Okay. You can make a small dictionary for you. I mean, you can get a notebook and all the vocabulary you have a problem with should be written down. Okay. And every day before you go to bed, open this notebook for about some minutes, have a look on them. And after some days, I believe you will have no problem with these writing these words at all. The spelling mistakes, okay, will fade away once you pay all your attention. Sometimes students, I'm gonna give you an example about this. Students, when they write the word believe, they write the word B-E-L and then they stop. Oh, believe, it has an I and it has an E. Do I have to write the I before E or E before I? And they keep asking themselves about such things. I'm gonna share with you the whiteboard, okay? As you see, we're gonna write a word together like the word believe, okay? Normally, make sure that the I is before E. Normally, yes. I is before what, guys? E. Except after what? After C. Like what? If I have the word receive, for example, over here, as you see in the word believe, the I is before E. And in receive, the E is before what? Is before I. This is normally, okay? And so on. We're going to give you example of these issues. Of course, during our course, we supply our students with plenty of examples, plenty of grammar lessons, okay? Hard work, I mean, a lot of work to be done. Exercises to be answers, vocabulary to be studied, exams and quizzes, cameras will be on to check exactly how you do your exam, and so on, okay? Evaluation on the spot. I mean, when we are done with the lesson, you're supposed to write down your homework. The homework should be there on the specific time we highlight, and after that specific time, we correct, or I myself exactly correct your work and give you the feedback before the lesson starts or at the beginning of the second lesson, and so on. Okay? Instant work exactly gets the best out of students. Okay? Any other questions? One more time, guys. Any other questions? Everything is clear for you right now for the idea of Oxford and Cambridge and on? Okay. If you do not need any questions, we can end the meeting right now. And it was exactly a pleasure meeting someone like you. Okay, guys? No questions again? Thank you and goodbye.